live streams early on. If you're new to the channel, I say welcome, guys. I do live streams every day. I'm going to do 2 today. And I'm uploading my Harlem Eubank versus Jack Catterall breakdown prediction on the playlist section of my channel. Go to playlists, find fight predictions, and click there. I uploaded already the Badargaziev versus Jazza fight. That fight's going down tonight in Turkey. If you haven't seen my prediction, it's uploaded in the fight prediction playlist. And I want to talk about, as you could read the thumbnail, I want to talk about obviously the Harlem Eubank versus Jack Catterall fight. We could start there or we could get there because we do have a fight tonight, and my betting sports book down here in Australia has released method of victory odds. And guys, I think we should talk about this because wherever you are tuning into the world, pull your books out. Also check in. We'll do our check-ins right now. Goats in the house. Let me know where you're tapping in from. I want to see if I'm a bit off base regarding this Badargaziev versus James Dickens fight in regards to the method of victory. My book down here in Australia, remember guys, my odds are going to be a little bit different than yours because I use an app that forces three-way betting, meaning if you're just on the money line, they factor in the draw. So my odds won't be exactly like yours. The money line on Badargaziev is $1.10. 100 gets you your money back plus 10 bucks. The draw is 20-1. James Dickens is 825. So 100 on him gets you your money plus 725 back. So a little bit more than a 7-1 dog. But the interesting thing, guys, this is where I wanted to ask you boys, where I'm leaning towards, is when you look at both guys' records, when you look at their resumes, it's a classic matchup of a seasoned veteran who's fought a long career versus a guy with a storied amateur career, not a lot of pro fights. Badargaziev to win by stoppage is $1.58. Badargaziev by decision is a $3.25. That's interesting enough. But also, will the fight go the distance? Is $2.50. That's the one I'm leaning on. Will the fight go the distance? $100 gets you your money back plus 150. And what the odds makers, look, let's admit it. A lot of fight fans don't know the names Albert Badargaziev and Jazza Dickens, right? The True Blues do, the Brits do. A lot of you guys on my channel will know those names going into this fight. You'll recognize Jazza Dickens. You know, he's fought for world titles before, but he's fallen short. Kid Galahad, he lost twice. And also of his 5 losses, he's gotten stopped. I think 4 of the 5. So that's where those odds are coming. I think a lot of the gamblers have gone to his box rec, and they've seen that. I think 10 years ago, so in 2016, Guillermo Rigondeaux stopped him as well. He has a win at 126 over Lee Wood. And I think the knockout stoppage losses have persuaded these odds a bit to think that people are betting on Badargaziev to win by stoppage. But Jazza, he's a tough out. So right now, you know, I've already done my prediction. My money line pick is Badargaziev. But I'm thinking of a little prop. I'm thinking of, will the fight go the distance? No. And loading up on that. I want to see what you guys feel on that in terms of putting the feelers out. If I do take that prop or whatever prop I do take, I'm going to put it in our post section. Also, guys, if you haven't checked the post section out yet, last night I posted Goats, one of our loyal subscribers, Goats on this live stream. He had an idea last month saying, how about for July, you do a month-long parlay. So we're doing that. I picked 12 fights. It's a July-long parlay. Go there, check it out. I showed you my picks for the 12 fights. I want you guys to post your picks as well. And at the end of the month, we'll see. I'll do a scoreboard. And then what I'm going to do is over every month, I'm going to keep score. So I'm kind of a stats nerd. So what we could do is we'll have stats throughout the year and a scoreboard, and then we'll figure out prizes and stuff like that as we go. So the 12 fights I picked on that long parlay, 243-1 odds. So it's a fun one. It's meant to be fun. And that's not to say coming up this month when I'm predicting sort of these fights, that's not to say I might go against my own long parlay. That's still the case because there were a couple big underdogs I picked. On the long parlay, I picked Usyk to beat, or I picked Dubois to beat Usyk. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that in my prediction video. So just to give you guys, that's sort of where my head's at with the long parlay. I've already posted. Yeah, all money lines as well. All money lines because they don't give us they don't give us the option for method of victories. Goats in the house. Havelock, what's up, buddy? Caught a live stream. Carlos, I appreciate the support. Everybody tapping in and tuning in. Wherever you are in the world, just like this video. Let's get started. Here we go. All right, let's talk about, I want to answer one of the questions from the boys. Do I think Harlem Eubank could win? I'm uploading my prediction of Harlem versus Jack in a few hours. I'm currently editing it right now. I think Harlem Eubank can win. Do I think he will win? I don't know. I'm not convinced. I think that there's an argument to be made on both sides. Jack Catterall fans are going to obviously talk about Catterall is this close from being undefeated. Catterall should be a world champion regarding how that first Josh Taylor fight played out. Rewatched the fight. I've watched it twice. Another argument is I think he lost the Barboza Jr. fight. I took Barboza to beat him. Some people in the UK feel that he won that fight. I'm not one of them. So, he's a good boxer. He's a slick southpaw. My problem with Jack is he sometimes goes through these laws of not punching. And he's not going to be one of these fighters to go viral. You're not going to see this guy, have spectacular knockouts. But what he does really well is he boxes really well. And when he lacks in volume, he has really good timing. And I'm hearing some of the people, I'm watching a lot of the low level, or for the lack of better terms, a lot of the boxing channels I'll watch, if it's a UK fight, I'm going to the UK on YouTube, right? And a lot of these guys are leaning towards Catterall, but they do like Harlem Eubank's ascension. And they're both the same age. And this fight's at 147. Neither guy is a big 147. This will be Eubank's third fight at 47. I think this is Jack's first fight at 47. Some of the people were saying that the 7 pounds will help Catterall. Eubank is leveling up. I like what I've seen from him in his last few fights. I have watched from my film study his last 3 fights, and I feel at this stage of the game that's enough film study for me with a guy who hasn't peaked yet. You know what I'm saying? He's not at his full potential. So I go back 3 or 4 fights, and then in that progress, you can see him leveling up. He's going to be the better athlete. There's the physical advantages Harlem will have. I just don't know if he can win 12 rounds. No, Jack's 31. Jack's only 31. They're the same age. El Gato. So it's a 12-rounder. You got to think, and this is the way I compartmentalize if I feel it's going to go the distance. 12 rounds, 36 minutes. In the 36 minutes of action, how many minutes do I see Harlem Eubank winning? And like I said, if you like Harlem, you're going to want him to pressure. You're going to want his volume. He's going to have the bigger moments on the scorecards. And that could all happen. All of that could definitely happen regarding how Jack goes about his business. But to say Jack doesn't have power, I disagree with that. He might not have a lot of knockouts, but he has good timing. And when he's on and he catches you coming in, an aggressive style fighter, he has pop. And he knows what he's doing in there. He's a smooth operator. All the boxing sort of, boxes you got to tick. I lean with Jack Catterall. It's an interesting matchup. I think Jack is in a must-win. It's no secret. Jack Catterall is in a must-win situation if he wants to kind of write a legacy of a career of being a world champion. Yeah, Joshua Heath, I agree. I briefly touched base on that. Joshua Heath is agreeing with me. Neither Joshua nor I see Catterall getting robbed against Barboza. I thought Barboza had a beautiful game plan. He was the much more active fighter. He controlled the center of the ring. He won more rounds. And we'll see if Catterall, I don't know at this stage of the game if Catterall could really change how he operates in the ring regarding volume. So we'll see. Poppy Brandon. Great question, Poppy Brandon. I mentioned this on the live stream. We have fights tonight in Istanbul, Turkey. A really good undercard as well. The thing is, the main event here starts at 2 a.m. my time. So 2 a.m. my time. My first client is 5 a.m. after that. So we'll see. I might take a nap. I might stay up. I might not. I'll let you boys know. My insider with the John Pascal, he called Cieslak rounds 1 through 3 knockout. He was being very specific, and he called the first round knockout for Christian Mabili being very specific. I told you guys about those bets. What I did was I just took Cieslak and Mabili by knockout on a prop, so I won big on that. Guys, when I give you insider information, I share the news. I'm super transparent with all of you. You do not have to listen to anything I say, though, if you don't trust me. I think my track record over time is speaking for itself. When people email me all the time with insider information. So maybe, remember I said this, when they tell me they know insider information, they feel this guy is going to stop this guy in this round. How I take that is I'm going to take that stoppage. I'm just going to take the stoppage prop because I don't believe kind of in luck. Like to think that I'm going to pick a guy to win in a specific round by stoppage, that's insane. So I did take Cieslak. I took him to win by stoppage. Yeah, make your own due diligence. Mark in the house. But so yeah, to clear the air on that, we've already turned the page on that week. And like always, these live streams are an open book for you boys. If you do want to bring up older fights, go ahead and ask. And one more point on that to answer GOAT, and I'll get to the Jake Paul thing in a second. GOAT, I posted in the community post section before last weekend's fights. I put the receipts up that I had an insider who messaged me about those two specific fights, about knowing like how John Pascal couldn't spar. He said he knew somebody in that camp, that Pascal had an injured hip and an injured knee, and that the stoppage was going to happen early. He picked the stoppage to go rounds 1 through 3. It happened, I think, a minute into round 4. So the specificity, he was wrong, but the prediction in terms of he was going to get stopped, he wasn't himself, was right. The Christian Mabili versus Sulecki, he also emailed me out. Same guy, Christian Mabili versus Sulecki. He said that the info he gave me was a guy he knew in the camp of Sulecki's, and said that he was washed, said that he was cashing out, said that he didn't have anything left, and that Mabili was going to go for the stoppage. So I put that up in the group. And once again, I didn't pick Mabili by round 1. I just picked Mabili by stoppage. So turning the page on that, hopefully I answered your question. I woke up to the news here Wednesday morning that Jake Paul is ranked in the top 15 by the WBA. But guys, what does this really tell us as boxing fans? This is no shock what I'm about to say. I think the real narrative is it's not Jake Paul. He fought his way. He worked his way. He's in the top 15 in a major sanctioning body's rankings. He earned his way to the 14th spot. No, I think it says more that the WBA is just removing the veil and just finally speaking the silence bit out loud about how corrupt, how fraudulent, how comical the sanctioning bodies are. You know what I'm saying? Because I bet you a lot of us here on this live stream could put our hands up, and we know personally fighters, amateur fighters. I know, dude, I am not coming from a delusional point. I know 2-3 guys I spar with who are in their 50s. I'm 43. I told you about Old Man Carl. One of my sparring partners, I call him Old Man Carl. This dude used to build ski lodges in Australia in a ski town. I think it was called Perisher. When he was a younger guy, he would build ski lodges, and he would do a lot of like tradie work. Now he sells retirement villages for a nonprofit. But we've been sparring for years. This dude's hands, he's only about 5'9". He's 5'9", about 92 kilos. His hands are like this, and he hits like freaking bricks. And his fight style, he's a slugger. And he would stop. I guarantee Old Man Carl would stop Jake Paul. My point is, I guarantee Old Man Carl would stop Jake Paul 100%. I have no doubt in my mind. My point is, a lot of us know guys who train, who are sort of like hobbyists, who would fight him, who would stop him, who would definitely stop him. How nobody's gone to the body? What are we talking about? How those fights are a farcical. Set the jab up. His timing's terrible. On his front foot. He doesn't set anything up. Everything's at one speed. Take one jab. High guard. Fight him in the clinch. Rip that body. His body's soft. Like, don't get me started. It's kind of insane. It's definitely insane. And I like what Virgil said. Virgil Ortiz, I shared what Virgil said. And I support that comment all the way through. I do like what Jake has done promoting fighters, though. Look, you can't take that away from him. But what that's starting to look like now, last week I said that, and what he's done for women's boxing. But how much of this is, it's kind of like his own version of sports washing, kind of like what Saudi Arabia does, you know, with how crooked their politicians are and how crooked their politics are. We know about what happened with Jamal Khashoggi, the Washington Post journalist. We know what happened in Germany during World War II. We know countries who use international sports to hide what's really going on within their country. Jake is doing that within our sport. Jake is using promoting fighters and promoting the women's sport as sports washing for us to just kind of be in awe about him bankrolling and creating, you know, making a joke of our sport by fighting just these fake circus fights. It's insane. Akib versus Alex prediction. But yeah, before I answer that, I want to let this roll a little bit. Call me crazy, but I think Jake wants eyes and bodies. He's going to make money regardless. Jake falls apart when he's pressured by the opponents. He cherry picks, which is hilarious. Yeah, I find it fun. You know, he has forced me on this channel to actually talk about him because I refuse to feature any of his fights. You know, I did a short video about the Mike Tyson fight, but it wasn't it was just highlighting how farcical that matchup was. I didn't feature this fight with Chavez Jr. For my own personal. You guys know there's reasons if you tune into the show. Yeah. But, you know, that's his version of sports washing. He has good fight cards, right? Jesus. But, you know, a lot of the casuals only tune into his fights. A lot of the casuals aren't watching, like, the prelims like we watch. You know, they didn't see Julian Rodriguez have a walk-off knockout against Avius Griffin like we saw. That was insane. They didn't see the huge upset, the veteran, his name's slipping my mind. Rene, I think Alvarez, 16-loss vet, goes in there as a 12-1 dog and win. They didn't watch that fight. They go to see that farcical event, the main event, and they you know, and then even fight fans who aren't casuals, just regular boxing heads, we would be categorized as, I think, full-on boxing nerds, and that's a compliment. But regular boxing fans would have tuned into that just to see the main event, and then they would have seen that, and they would have just disregarded the whole thing, not knowing that there were some legit fun fights on the undercard, you know, with prospects, and so, but all of that was created to hide what's really going on. Jake Paul's sports washing. I definitely just compared Jake Paul to MBS and Saudi Arabia. Are you doing method of, yeah, Mark, so right now, it's Wednesday morning. My book just allowed me to have a method of victory for tonight in Turkey. The history of my betting apps down here is I usually have to wait till my Friday morning, your Thursday night in America, to see the method of victory options for the weekend fights. And now, you know, at least they opened up. Right now, the fights I have for the UK for this weekend, because yesterday it was just Jack versus Harlem, but now we got Akib Fiaz versus Murphy, which is a 50-50 fight. Pat Brown versus Lewis Oakford. Sky Nicholson versus Campos. Cordina versus Jared Kyrdos. Catterall. Guys, we got 5 fights. I'm definitely going to do a UK fight card parlay. Yeah, Daniel. Look, Joseph, I explained that earlier. That's just a fun parlay. When I do my breakdown, my proper breakdown analysis, fight prediction video, my stats don't lie videos, if you guys are new to the channel, I do edited, produced, uninterrupted videos on my fight prediction playlist called Stats Don't Lie. I wait until fight week to do those videos. So during my breakdown of Dubois versus Usyk, just because I picked Usyk or just because I picked Dubois on my long parlay, that doesn't mean I'm going to pick Dubois to beat Usyk in my prediction, just so you guys know that. But I do like how Dubois has been trending. I think he's on a hot, I mean, look at his last 3 fights. He's really impressed me. He's really leveled his game up. 26, 27 years old in the heavyweight division is a baby. Confident, way more confident. The dude got dogs in his hands. I mean, big dude. Usyk got a lot of rounds on him. How many more rounds does Usyk have on him since the last time they fought? I still think that Dubois should have won by knockout in that first fight. I think that was a legal shot. I broke down that at nauseum. That's a hill I'll die on. I've talked to a lot of my buddies who box professionally. They all agree that's a legal shot. Okay, so we know how it played out, and we know in Usyk, it's not like Dubois couldn't handle Usyk up until that body shot. Dubois was struggling with Usyk's movement, that in and out. Everybody struggles with Usyk's movement. Dubois doesn't, up until that fight, you could see his flaws against southpaws. You could see Usyk landing his backhand from that southpaw style. And we saw in Dubois' career before that fight, that was the case as well when he would fight southpaws. So I'm not saying that, he's the better. I don't know. I think he's definitely leveled his game up. Think about the confidence he has now, stopping AJ Young. So I'm still not predicting 100% who I think is going to win that fight. Jacob Burgos. It's not the rest time. So Jacob Burgos is referencing the first fight in terms of the low blow in which Usyk got dropped and the ref gave him time to recover. Do I think the rest time, the time to recover, won him the fight? When you watch the fight, he was winning on the cards. It wasn't the rest time that won him the fight. It was the no call that lost Dubois the fight. Psychologically. Look historically. Just look let's go 2 years ago. I always use this fight as a reference to Dubois versus Usyk 1. Look what happened, Liam Wilson versus Emmanuel Navarrete. When Wilson dropped Navarrete, I think in the second round, and the ref gave Navarrete a 27-second count. And then Navarrete stops Wilson in the ninth. When Dubois hits Usyk to the body, and it wasn't called a knockdown or a knockout. Same thing with the Wilson scenario. A switch turns in a fighter's head when you think you won the fight. When that switch turns and you think you won the fight, things shut off internally. Things shut off because you get elevated, your endorphins spike, you kind of take a breath, I just won by knockout. And then in a split second, it's taken from you, and you have to turn those triggers back on. That's a thing. Nobody talks about it. That is 100% a thing. And that's what I see happen in both of those fights. Yes, adrenaline dump. Usyk will outclass Dubois. Styles make fights. Dubois has a small puncher's chance. How do I put this? We know that I picked Farmer to beat Schofield. We know that I picked Farmer to beat Schofield. We know I was way off on that. But go back to my stats don't lie prediction. When in my prediction videos, I always talk about a path to victory for both fighters, even the fighter that I pick against. And one of the things I mentioned with Farmer, and I'm going to come full circle with Usyk Dubois. There's a point here. One of the things I mentioned with Farmer was in his entire career so far, referencing the last 3 fights, the Murataya fight, the 2 Zabeta fights, I was like, we haven't seen Farmer get old yet. We haven't seen Farmer degrade yet. I was like, these things do happen and have happened in boxing. Overnight, you could see a fighter get old from one fight to another. I said, if that happens, Schofield will win. I don't expect it to happen. Now, is that first round knockout an example of Farmer getting old overnight? Only time will tell. Only time will tell. Every fighter gets old. Usyk is late. He's been active. He fights a lot of rounds. Will he be old overnight? I don't know. But it's going to happen in one of his fights. It's going to happen in one of his fights. Yeah. Yeah, and I said all of that, Pedro, in my breakdown. I just was leaning on Farmer's experience to be able to weather that storm. And you know, I've talked about it ad nauseum all week so far. As my hats go off to Floyd with his accuracy. He was everything he threw landed. I was really impressed with his accuracy. But so yeah, Dubois Usyk is an interesting matchup. There's a lot of interesting matchups. And to answer, somebody asked me about Fiaz versus Murphy. Aqib Fiaz versus Murphy. It's on the undercard of Catterall versus Eubank. It's a tough fight to call. I'm gonna have to watch more film. What's up? Boxing says Johnny. Somebody started a channel. Boxing says Johnny. Farmer turned into an old man overnight. What's up, PJ? What's up, boys? Wherever you're checking in at, let's like this video. So far, we've covered Harlem Eubank, Jack Catterall. We talked a little bit about the fight going on tonight in Turkey with Badr Gaziev versus Jazza, James Dickens. Guys, there's money to be made on this fight. If you guys have a betting app that is allowing you to bet on this fight, bet on this fight. So Dan thinks Eubank will win by stoppage. I mean, it's a good bet. It's a good bet. There's no way I'm going to sit here and tell you that can't happen. I think Jack outboxes him. I'm going with. This isn't official. Like I said, I'm editing my video. The breakdown will be up on the channel. Right now, I'm leaning towards Jack by decision or Jack by stoppage. We'll see. I don't know, man. Zach, I don't think Harlem's good. I think people sleep on Jack Catterall. I think people have always slept on Jack Catterall. He's only 31 years old. Would you do 9.5 on the Albert fight? Yeah. Yeah. I would. I think that's a good bet. Guys, let's go over some of the props right now I'm getting on Badr Gaziev versus Dickens. If you like Badr Gaziev on points, $3.25. If you like him by stoppage, $1.58. If you like Dickens on points, $12. If you like Dickens by stoppage, $17. Here's my... I'm this close of saying this is my lock of the week. I'm this close. I really like will the fight go the distance on this fight in Turkey. $2.50. Will the fight go the distance? Badr Gaziev versus Dickens, $2.50. I'm kind of loving that bet right now. I hit my lock of the week the last 3 weeks. The Dixon fight, man, $2.50 is tempting. I could see both of these guys lasting. When you look at Badr Gaziev, he's a very quirky, unorthodox style. He's the more physical guy. You know, he has that gold medal. Albert gets him out of there in the ninth. So, yeah, this is why the odds are like that, Pedro, because Dickens has been stopped. Twice against Kid Galahad. He got stopped against Guillermo Rigondeaux 10 years ago. He looked good against Zelfa Barrett. I don't know if it's because I live in Australia and at the gym I spar. There's a lot of Brits who fight there, a lot of professional Brits. Zelfa Barrett was a name that they speak highly of. I guess this guy looks amazing in the gym, and he never quite evolved into the guy I think people thought he was going to be. I definitely thought Zelfa was going to beat Jazza. So what I'm saying is that fight got him this fight. He's fought for, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's fought for 3 world titles, Dickens, and he's lost all 3. We know he's never been a world champion. He has a win over Lee Wood. We know Lee Wood's a former world champion at 126. Lee Wood's coming off that loss against Kakachi at 130. It's interesting. Dude, a lot of these Brits that a lot of people have never heard of, they've been fighting their whole life. He's a tough guy. He's a tough dude. I think he went down, who was it? He got caught late. When he gets stopped, it's late. Very proudful fighter. So if you do like that stoppage, maybe something 9-12. Badr Gaziev to win by stoppage, 9-12 might be a good bet. If you're feeling the stoppage, I still think I'm leaning on the fight to go the distance. You have to think though too, this is it for Dickens, right? If he loses his fight, he probably hangs him up. With that being said, that could go either one or two ways. That could go like Sonny Edwards against Galal Yafai, or that could go I'm fighting until the death. So this is why we love the sport, the storylines. We could find a storyline in any fight. I could find a storyline in a street fight. I'll go to the right. Most people say if you go to the wrong neighborhood, I'll go to the right neighborhood in Sydney. I'll find a storyline between 2 bikies. So they don't have like street gangs here in Sydney, like Bloods, Crips, where I come back in the day, we had P folks, the Crips. They call them bikies. So bikies are biker gangs. And so they're the ones controlling the street movement, the drugs going in and out. And so you go to the right neighborhoods and a lot of fights will happen outside of gyms because even though they're bikies, these fools take their fitness very seriously. So I'll find a storyline there. But that's why this is interesting in terms of the Dickens, Badr Gaziev. So it's all about who you like. Sky is moving down. Her fights just aren't fun to me, guys. It's the I cover Sky. Here we go, Dan. Guys, we're about 30 minutes in. Like this video. This is usually the part of the live stream. If you know my channel, this is where we kind of enter the Wild West element of the live stream. Cowboy, give me until tomorrow to give you a prediction. I'm going to do a prediction on Fiaz versus Murphy. Give me until tomorrow, though, Cowboy. I need to watch more fights on those guys. I can't. I'm not one of these dudes to just give you a prediction based on odds. I want to see the fights. So I'm gonna watch at least their last fight, and then I'll get back to you on my live stream tomorrow. I go live every day. The benefit of hitting that bell, you'll be reminded. Joe Cordina, will his fight go the distance? He's another guy. Cordina's, why do people he's a former world champion. You know, I wanted to see Cordina. I wanted to see Cordina fight Shakur. I was excited about that fight. I think he's going to want to go out there. I think Cordina's going to want to go out there and prove a point. Tipkin said Catterall is one of his favorite fighters. Yeah, Catterall, he's world-class, mate. Let's pull up Cordina real quick. Somebody asked me, do I think Cordina will get the stoppage? I appreciate that. Cordina's fighting Quiros. Both guys are 17-1. Cordina's a dog, dude. Go to his Instagram. Like, the one thing that I could get behind, for me to get behind a fighter, it's not 100% meaningful for me how they fight. I'm at this stage of the game, you know, I've been watching the sport my whole life. I like how a fighter trains. I like how a fighter carries themselves in between fights. Cordina is no nonsense type of dude. You know, he got stopped against Kakachi, and this is why Kakachi's had this renaissance in his career. Kakachi has had an Indian summer career, I called it. And that's why I liked him over Lee Wood. I kind of wanted to see him fight Sugar Nunes, but hey, man, I understand. No one's really putting their hand up to fight Sugar Nunes. That's why Nunes had to go to Japan. Nunes becomes the world champion. Kakachi vacates his title to fight Lee Wood for more money. I think that's a safer fight, and financially speaking, it's a business decision. But, you know, he gave Cordina his only loss. Cordina got dropped in the third. You know that? Oh, yeah. That was the fight. I think when Cordina got dropped and he never really recovered because it ended up getting stopped in the 8th. He never really got his legs back. Who's Quiros fought? Uh-oh, guys. Uh-oh, guys. What's the last time we saw a Mexican? I knew someone was going to say it. I knew somebody was going to say it. It's another Mexican going into the UK, though, boys. A young Mexican going into the UK. Jarrett Quiros, I don't know much about him. 17-1, 13 knockouts. From Monterrey, Mexico, 24 years old. His only loss, he got stopped against Hector Dolores at 125. Ooh, this could be a really fun fight. I know, Tipkin, I know. This could be a really fun fight. I got to watch tape on it before I give you my take. I mean, if anything, I could see it ending in stoppage. Maybe you pick, will the fight go the distance? No. If you have that option. Right now, that's what I would lean. Oh, so it will go the distance. Mark, have you seen tape on Quiros? Dolores was 4-2. You boys are on it, man. DJ in the house dropping some stats. Live to the minute stats. This is why I love my live feed. This is why I love my chat. Like I said, I learned just as much from you guys that you learned from me. So these are stats that matter, DJ. You know, that's why a lot of the boys on the stream make money gambling on boxing, because that's a great stat, by the way. Dan, Mexicans always come to knock you out and they barely get stopped. He hasn't been stopped in years, but I got to watch more tape. Yeah, he got stopped against a guy who's gone 2-4 since. That's what DJ said. No film on him. Interesting. That's always kind of hesitant. And some of the boys are doing some topographical research talking about Monterrey, Mexico doesn't traditionally produce great fighters, which take what you want about that, but that's a narrative. That's what I'm talking about. That's a storyline. There's story. We can find, guys, we can find a storyline. How about, what do you know off jump, guys, about Fiaz versus Murphy? I've been asked about it twice. Aqib Fiaz versus Alex Murphy, because the odds are 50-50. Yeah, I was shocked. The whole Mexican Brit thing takes me back when I lost a bunch of money when Josh Warrington got stopped against Mauricio Lara. Do you guys remember that fight? 3-6. No, Skeezy, I'm putting in my notes. But that story probably goes back so far back about Mexicans coming to the UK. But yeah, I was shocked when Warrington got stopped against Lara. He was like a 7-1 dog. Poppy Brandon, what do you think is the safer bet? Albert tomorrow or parlay with Pat Brown and Nicholson? Safer bet, Albert tomorrow or Pat Brown? Well, safer bet, buddy. I appreciate you taking care of the channel as well. The safer bet, Brown and Nicholson, in terms of their matchups, right? But what is the juice? Is the juice really worth the squeeze? I don't know how heavy you want to go. If you, like sometimes a little 2-bet parlay like that, Brown and Nicholson, if you want to just get on a winning streak. So I think all bettors would admit, if you want to or not, we're a little bit superstitious. And I say that half-heartedly. We're a bit superstitious. So sometimes if I'm on a little bit of a losing streak, I'll do a parlay like that. I'll do a Brown Nicholson at $1. A very safe bet just to get a win, just so I can optically see on my betting app that green tick. So it's a wise move. It's a wise move for momentum and psychologically. There's not a lot of return there. I wouldn't go too heavy. One of the boys last week on our live stream was going to bet 10 grand to win $200, and I hopefully me and Muscles, we were doing a live stream together. Hopefully we talked him off that ledge, because even if you bet 10 grand to win $200, when you look at the return of investment, I don't think the risk versus reward is. I think the risk versus reward is way too high. The risk, not enough reward for that. But if you want to just do, like I said, something tiny, I definitely agree with that. Hopefully, I answered your question. Jeff, Pedro, Cordina, defensively responsible. I mean, I think a guy in his weight division who became a world champion, you're gonna have. I wouldn't call him the best defensive fighter, but he's not leaky. Yeah, I think you're Tito. If you're referencing the 10 grand to win 200, it's reckless. I don't support that at all, guys. And I'm gonna be as real as I can with you. If ever you say a bet that I disagree with financially, I'm gonna let you know. I'm not a dude that's just gonna sit here and say do it. And that's how I am as a friend too. If you guys, personally know me, if you're in my friend circle, I've always been that guy too. I'll talk to you with voice of reason. I don't want you to lose your money. I don't want you to regret anything. And just because I tell you to pick a fighter doesn't mean you have to listen. Some of my best chats are with the guys who go against me, and then when I lose, they let me know, and I'm like, dude, you had it. I think a smart person, somebody with reason and logic, is a person also with humility. You never want to be around a guy who thinks they know everything, and then when they're wrong, they're delusional. That's my point. Dolores 9-10 might not matter because he has a lot of power. He's only been stopped once. It was recent. I'm the same way, bro. That's stupid. Yeah. Yeah, DJ. Yeah. We'll tell you. And the chat will tell you too. Because as soon as we heard that on the chat last week, some of the boys were like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. So yeah, the chat's responsible. So I'm gonna have to find tape on Quiros, Joe Cordina's opponent. How did he get this Cordina fight? He's coming off of a knockout. Okay, 1, 2, 4 out of his last 5 victories are by knockout. You got to think these are domestic level opponents. Yep, Mexico, Monterrey, Guadalajara. This will be his first fight out of Mexico. These are things you got to think about, guys. It'll be his first fight out of Mexico. All domestic level opponents. I don't know. I think Cordina should handle him. Cordina's been stopped against Kakachi. Cordina only has 1 loss. Kakachi stopped him. And guys, Kakachi's on a roll right now. I'm really interested. Dude, don't sleep on Kakachi over Raymond Ford. I know, a lot of the the American content creators are instantly going all in on Raymond Ford, and I'm high on Raymond Ford. I featured his last 2 fights. I like how I don't know, man. I thought even though Thomas Matisse had a lot of knockouts and Thomas Matisse was longer and Thomas Matisse was the veteran, Raymond Ford fought smart, and Raymond has made this adjustment in his career to fight more entertaining, and I like the adjustment he's made. He's much more marketable now as an offensive fighter. I'm not going to tell you that Ford is going to beat Kakache. Like I've been watching Kakache for a long time. Anthony Kakache is not easy money. That's all I'm going to say. I can't wait to break that fight down. There's certain fights when they get signed that I'm excited about, and then fights I'm hesitant about. I'm excited about Kakache Ford. I'm hesitant about Bud versus Canelo. I'm hesitant about Dubois Usyk. I think Kakache beats. Yeah, Nick Ball to me is very. Whenever a guy, Nick Ball to me is one-dimensional. I'm not saying Nick Ball doesn't have skills, but when you look at overall how Nick Ball fights, everything looks the same. His speed, his pressure, the tempo, his setups, his offense, everything looks the same. And he is young. And maybe Nick Ball is not a finished guy, a finished product. He's leaky with his D. Sometimes it looks like he's running after you. He's fun to watch. I'm a Nick Ball guy. But when you take his overall game, him being one-dimensional with his overall game, you could be one-dimensional like that, and you could also be one-dimensional like Deontay Wilder. One-dimensional doesn't always mean you have, a good right hand or you have a good lead hook. His overall game is one-dimensional. I'm not even commenting. There's some great fights to be made. So Ball will knock out Kakache 100%. That's insane that you could just say. I'm not saying I just think the whole throw the 100% at the end of that is insane. There are no absolutes in life, guys. No absolutes. Biggest hype job. Who are you referring to? I wouldn't call Ball a hype job. That was a close fight. Bachav paying $1.74 knockout tonight in a 10-rounder. Yeah, somebody asked me about that fight. Every time Sammy fights here in Sydney, I watch him. I've been watching Sammy for the last 5 years. Goodman, this is another example of, Goodman going from 22 to 26. How does a guy like Goodman who can't stop guys at 22? I don't know. I think that's a bad matchup. Yeah, Goodman's a small guy. He's good boxing skills. He's not going to have the power to get Ball's respect. Ball is aggressive. And the thing about Goodman, for all of his good boxing skills and how he could win rounds, he was a really smooth operator in there. We last saw him fight Cesar Vaca, which was a fun fight. I was ringside to the Cesar Vaca fight. That was just a month ago. We won a lot of money on that fight card. That's what started these live streams. 22-1. My boy hit 22K on my picks. But yeah, they haven't been great. I was at the Goodman fight when Tim Tszyu stopped Tony Harrison, and I've watched Goodman fight at the club level. The thing about Goodman is, with his style, you would expect him to have like pinpoint timing, and sometimes he lacks that too. I don't know. I'm not going to predict that yet, but I don't like his chances against Nick Ball, just in terms of how Nick Ball operates, like literally like a wrecking ball. How do you stop that pressure? You need to stop that pressure with either world-class timing, world-class counters, or power. And we know that Sammy Boy doesn't have that power. And we know that fight's at 126. Maybe, I don't know his camp. I don't know him personally. Maybe that cut, maybe the extra 4 pounds his camp thinks he's going to be, have more pop. We'll see. Havanes versus Zoltan. Yeah, okay, this is a fight, Guy Mars. So I want to talk about Don Jenny. Look at Don Jenny's record. It's an interesting fight to break down because the odds are interesting. And we talked about this last night on the stream. Don Jenny, who has, this will be Don Jenny's 40th pro fight. He's fighting a guy with 7 pro fights. He's fighting Armenian. I talked about it last night. The Armenian fighters, you know, in combat sports, historically, in MMA, in Muay Thai, one of the greatest Muay Thai fighters of all time was an Armenian Italian fighter nicknamed the Doctor. And his brother fights in the UFC. And they're notoriously, and I used to spar with, in LA, there's a big Armenian population in LA. And they're notoriously tough guys, you know, heavy-handed strikers. This guy has 7 wins, 6 knockouts. All that aside, man, don't sleep on Don Jenny, dude. Even though he's been stopped before, it's an interesting fight in terms of the odds. I'm not going to say, I think if you can, it might be worth a sprinkle on the dog. He has 6 losses. Look who Don Jenny's lost to. He lost a decision to Chavez, lost a decision to Morataya, got stopped against Barbosa Jr., lost a decision to Tito Mercado. I mean, he's been in there with world-class guys. Devin Haney beat him by decision back in the day. The thing about a guy like Don Jenny, though, is you got to ask yourself, every time he's stepped there, he's lost. The Armenian fighters' handlers obviously think that this guy is going to be world level. I can't really tell you many. I mean, how many guys, raise your hand if you've seen Bakov fight. I've never seen Bakov fight. He knocked out Bastardo. Who's on his resume? Who's his best win? I mean, he fought Korea, which is a veteran. Stopped him in the 8th. I don't know. It's a weird one. You know, for me to give you an educated pick, I'd have to watch film on him. I've seen Don Jenny fight. He's a tough veteran. I think it's going to be a tough matchup for Bachev. The only concern is Don Jenny seems... Yeah, I agree. Stopped twice. Seems... Yeah, it's... We'll know right off. This could be one of those fights where it ends early by... Don Jenny could get stopped early. This week of boxing just sucks. Well, there's no U.S. cards, mate. That's why you think it sucks. I think these are those weeks that we win a lot of money. I'm going... Dude, I think sometimes when there's too many cards, I get too big-eyed. I'm like, I could eat here, I could eat here, let's eat here, and I want everything. The greed sets in. Not financial greed, but like, you know, the ego greed. Oh, that's going to happen, that's going to happen. And then it becomes a statistical equation of you can't win all of them. But when we got a card in Turkey and we got a card in the UK, let's eat. So I disagree with you. Havelock. Catterall, Battergaziev, Krolla. Krolla's on there. Yeah, nobody mentioned him. I think that's the brother Anthony, right? The kid who got stopped against Lomachenko. Or, I think so. I don't think that, yeah, I think that's his brother. Maybe they're related. I think there's money this week. So, like I said, if you check the odds of the Battergaziev stoppage. Guys, all of July is insane. I posted the fights. This July is so stacked. It's going to give me... I'm going to have my eyes on 3 different screens. Yeah, there's so many big fights, so many big cards. It's, you know, there's fights that... There's guys on the undercard that... No, like Shushu Carrington's fighting on the undercard in New York. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch. I cover all of his fights. I haven't seen any content creator talk about Bruce. I'm definitely going to feature his fight. We know all about the big matchups, but look at the prelims on some of these undercards. There's a lot of good guys featuring, and I think, you know, Carrington at 126, dude, come on. When you look at the champions there, you could put Bruce in there with pretty much anyone at 26. He's one of those guys because he, you know, not a lot of pro fights at this moment. When he fights, people are talking about him, but as soon as the fight week ends, people forget about him. Dwayne in the house, second of the month, just made it back home from safe work. Golf course today, got training night. Have fun today, Dwayne. Seems like you live a very fulfilled day-to-day, which is the goal for all of us. I appreciate you dropping that positivity. Yeah, Xander versus Chino. Another tough fight that, you know, I'm definitely covering. I like both guys. Exactly. Chino shocked me against Conwell. Chino exposed Conwell in terms of Conwell not having a plan B or C. And Chino fought Conwell the entire time on the ropes, being real slick, forcing... Conwell kept just staying on Chino's left side, couldn't do anything with him. The MVB card, there's some good fights on that card. Daniel Vega, are you trolling me? Here we go again. Are you trolling me with the Figueroa comment? I'm not biting today. I bit yesterday on the live stream. I ain't biting today. Idano or Angelo Leo. Yeah, there's a few of them floating around. Common nickname. Joette versus Figueroa. I'm not biting. I'm not biting, mate. If you guys watched my live stream yesterday, you'll know why. I don't do the Figueroas. I don't do Omar. I don't be messing with Brandon. Those guys have, dude. There we go. Come on, man. Stop. How many? I got who gets triggered by a boxer? A boxer's performance. I only got time for that. I think Joette can. Been a fan since 1985. So yeah, Joette. Come on, Joette. I want to hear your locks. What's your lock of the week, guys? I'm giving you my lock today. I'm this close from going heavy. Bam versus Cafu. Tough fight. I love that fight. I love that fight. I'm this close from going heavy on the fight tonight. The fight to go the distance. $2.50. Let's talk about Bam Rodriguez and Cafu. I'm giving you my lock of the week, PJ, today on the channel, so stay tuned. So this fight's going down in Texas, right? Yeah, it's in Frisco. Cafu's undefeated. It's really tough to bet against Bam Rodriguez, man. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch. South African fighter, 11-0, 8 knockouts. Coming off a split decision win over a tough Japanese fighter, Tanaka. I don't know, man. I don't see it. I don't see it. I think Bam is that dude. Man, I love watching Bam fight. Just how he fights, how he operates. Yeah, I think Bam's that dude, mate. I think this guy, we're going to watch him continue to rise. People were shocked that when I posted Brian Norman Jr. being the youngest male world champion at 24, for some reason, I don't know if people equate size to youth, but people thought Bam was younger. Bam's older. Yet, I don't think the timelines are going to match up, Mike. I don't think the timelines are going to match up. I think, it's more, I think we're going to see Junto versus Bam, or Junto versus Inoue before we see Bam versus Inoue. And I think if we're talking Bam versus Inoue, we'd have to see Bam versus Junto first, right? And there's other killers from Japan at 18. Yeah, but look at Tanaka due to eye injuries. There's some fun fights in these lower divisions. These are some of my favorite. These are some of these my favorite divisions. Yeah, Bam's a year older than Norman Jr. Zoo money line, book it. I lost too much money. His muscles a lender. What? I lost too much money. His muscles a lender. Was that supposed to be a private message, or were you supposed to put all of that on blast? I don't know. You let me know. Bam is okay other than Sonny. Bam is okay. Come on, Afro Jam. Dude, you can't. Rather than focusing on, for Bam at least, this doesn't always work for every fighter. You need to just focus on how Bam operates. That dude he's already a Hall of Famer. I would already say Bam, for what he's done. 21-0, 14 knockouts, multi-division world champion. The dude, how he fights, how he operates. Maybe he's not a Hall of Famer yet. I take that back. Give him more time. Don't rush the young fella. But how he fights, his timing, oh my God, dude. Countering, his power, his stopping people, dude is world class. And he's a joy to watch. And he's kind of, and I mean this is a compliment, he's like a nerd. Follow his Instagram. You'd see that dude in public, you'd be like, there's no way this guy's a fighter. He's always posting with his dog, and I know he's a young father now, and he's into like anime and art, and he's quirky. Dude, the dude is, for me, personality, he ticks all the boxes. And he fights mean, dude. Come on. Yeah, he's moving to 18. And dude, 18 is filled with killers. I put Bam in terms of like, yeah, not yet. I took it back. I caught myself. I didn't want to drink the Kool-Aid too soon. I caught myself. But it's fun, those divisions. Nakatani too, man. I'm high on Junto. Yeah, drag on. We talked about this, the WBA ranking. We talked about it. I don't want to spend too much more time on Jake Paul. You can talk about it. I've already given you my opinion ad nauseum on that. If you want to rewind the live stream, you can. Muscle Brown checking in. Muscles, you got a shout out earlier. I think people were talking. If somebody asked if you're a lender. Muscles, what's your lock this week? Against 34-year-olds at flyweight, he's good, but the credit, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I just don't think Cafu gonna get no. I don't think many can at that division. Resembles Loma Style, one of my favorite prospects, Navarro. I think the weight classes are really well known. What are you talking about? The smaller weight classes are, at least where I come from, at least the dudes I talk to, dude, think some of the best fighters, most popular fighters in the world are at 18, 22. Yeah, all right, definitely not a lender. You think Junto goes straight to... no. I don't think he goes straight to 126. I don't think so. I think he's a smooth... I mean, he could, but unless there's like something on the table for like a one-fight thing, if that's the negotiations with Inoue, if Inoue doesn't want to meet in the middle and they want to go to 26... And if that's the case, dude, Junto Nakatani versus Shushu Carrington, come on! What? If that's the case, Junto versus Bruce, I'd love to see that fight. No, that fight probably won't happen, but me being a nerd, I'd love to see that fight. You know, let's say Junto goes up to 26. What fight was I going the distance? Oh, the fight I was talking about going the distance... to answer your question, some of the boys are watching at work. I think this fight in Turkey, I mean, in terms of value, $2.50 for Badargaziev and Jaza to go the distance. $2.50. I'm that close from telling you that's my lock. I'm that close. I'm gonna let you know in about 2 hours. I gotta sit with it. Yeah, he is gonna move up. I mean, if we're talking about Bam, at 18, I think there's bigger fights, bigger money to be made, bigger at 18 and 22. I'm going to send some birds out to some of my insiders and see if I could get a sort of feeler with Badargaziev and Dickens on that fight to go the distance. Dickens has been known to get stopped late, and I think that's where the money's at, and he's been stopped 4 times. Takai, Inoue, Nishida. Yeah, I think Junto could go straight to 20. I think Junto's first fight at 26 will be Inoue. I don't know if he goes and has a feeler fight there. But Inoue has a tough fight coming up. People sleep on MJ. I mean, just in terms of how they both fight, MJ versus Inoue, I'm here for it. Come on. That's a fun fight. Whoever says... This is why I'm watching one of these live streams that you boys put me on. You guys told me to watch Boxing Voice. I was watching the Boxing Voice live stream last week, and I brought this up earlier in the week. And for the dude just blatantly said, and I know this guy, huge following, and no shade on him, but at least he admitted it. The dude blatantly said he had never heard of Francisco Rodriguez Jr. I'm like, what are you talking about? How is this? And so for somebody who just commented to say the lighter fighters or the lighter divisions no one talks about, I'm like, you just must be relaying false information from content creators you're watching, because some of the most exciting fights in the world happen at 22 and 18 and at 15. It's insane. And sometimes even lower. Dude, for you guys not to know who MJ is, that MJ Inoue fight is going to be insane. No, it's some dude who was smoking weed on his live talking about, they were doing the live during the Jahai Tucker fight. I only watched it once. I had to shut it off. It was Jahai Tucker versus Truck. And one of the boys on his live knew who Francisco was. And they couldn't even name Galal Yafai. And I was like, Jesus, this is insane. But so many people get their boxing info from these guys and now run with these narratives. I think this is where these fake or just bad for boxing narratives come from these guys with big followings who will trash fighters and just blatantly sort of try to spin things. But if you're into boxing, if you're into all action, if you're into problem solving at the highest level with the dire consequences, volume, watch fights at 22, watch fights at 18, tune into a Bam fight, tune into a Junto fight, every time Inoue fights, every time MJ fights, and there's so many other guys. It's insane. So many other guys. Japan, dude. Some of the fighters in Japan, they're not always going to come out on top, but come on, how they fight is insane. What is TBV community? Oh, the boxing voice. Okay. Duh. Canelo haters. Yeah, I can't hate on any boxers, guys. I mean, I like to think they've at least boxed before. The Haney voice. I'd like to think, it's hard for me to think that if somebody has boxed before that they would hate on a guy like Canelo. I don't judge a fighter how they navigate their career. Like, that's insane to me how people get emotional and judge fighters how they navigate their career, because that's business. Now, I'm not talking about Jake Paul, dude. I'm talking about, a guy like Canelo who turns pro as a teenager, who has over, close to 60 fights? And so I listen to you and Dan Raphael. They love to hate on. Yeah, I can't hate on Canelo. I mean, I'm not a fan of any fighter. It's not like I can't wait to see Canelo fight, but how could you hate on that dude? It's insane. Duro, what he's done. They're great fights, but the smaller weight are not known in the way. Okay, Afro. Okay, Afro. You had to explain it. Valid, right? Valid. It's insane. Maybe it's wild that there aren't. So maybe there's a need for the market for some of you boxing heads in America, because I do the best I can here in Australia and featuring all the fights. Maybe that's a gap in the market on YouTube for somebody to, help spread the word, because it would be wrong to just let a guy, just because they're a lighter fighter, to not watch their career, and you miss a career like Inoue or you miss a career like Nakatani. It's insane. And my favorite thing about, maybe it's my sort of own reasoning, but I started hearing about Junto Nakatani 5 years ago. So I always thought the last few years of Pavlik's career, he went out west and was training with Robert Garcia in his camp and his coaches, and that's been well documented. You guys know that. You know my connection with Kelly. But one of Kelly's guys that I met through Kelly is a guy named James Dominguez. James used to host a podcast with Kelly called forget the name of it. It was on YouTube. The Punchline. And James was telling me, and he's a former boxer, and he's real close. He might even be related to Garcia. He was telling me about Junto, training in America, how he goes about his business. He was high on Nakatani 5 years ago when nobody knew about him. And I think that adds an element to his game as well, being able to, travel, be coached internationally, his style. I think that for that kid not to be a superstar, everything that he does, like international superstar, everything how he fights, I think he's next in line after Inoue. Is Inoue a household name in America? Guys, maybe you can answer that for me. I know it's a bit of a rhetorical, but is Inoue a household name in America? If you were to go up to somebody who says they watch boxing, you start talking about Mike Tyson, they're a little older. Rudy Hernandez. I didn't want to misspeak. I knew it was Rudy, but there's also the guy out of East LA who trains who runs Los Angeles Boxing Club. Yeah, Rudy's a great coach. You don't think he's a great coach? I think how he's handled. No, okay. I like how Rudy goes about his business. You don't think it's all good. We can't like everybody. Yeah, Pedro, Manny Robles. Yeah, Manny Robles. We just feature one of his fighters, a Japanese fighter, right? Who does he, doesn't, somebody we just talked about, Manny Robles, trains, Harlem Eubank 5%. He's not beating Jack. What's up, high interest? Yeah, I think there's a lot of good coaches out there. There's a lot of good lightweighter fighters. The 130, yeah, America loves the 135-pound division. You guys love that. It's insane. On YouTube, people have made their YouTube career on talking about 2 or 3 fighters. It's insane. People have built huge followings talking about it was Errol Spence before that. Dudes made their following off of just loving Errol Spence or hating Devin or loving and hating Shakur or hating Bud, and they actually don't break fights down. They actually don't do, analysis work. They don't do live commentary. It's just yeah, it's wild. There's a fight flying under the radar. Resendez, dad coaches never seem to last. America's about that heavyweight. Well, America's due for a big heavyweight. I mean, we've been slipping a little bit in the heavyweight division as of late. We talked about it on the channel. If GOAT's still on the live stream, we got the young American heavyweight who just fought on the Jake Paul undercard 3-0 with 3 stoppages. But I mean, who's the best? What American heavyweight is the closest to a title? Closest to a title? Kiki? Yeah, it's wild. It's wild that people sacrifice integrity for money. I'll never do it. I've never done it in any asset of my life. In any area of my life. I definitely have an integrity. Josh Edwards. Not the front runner. Yeah, he has 3 fights. I'd have to say Kiki. In terms of like career progression. Yeah. Josh has had 3 fights against Barman. I like Josh though. Malachi Georges. Okay. Are you guys? This is gonna get a triggered response. I'm not even gonna ask it. Forget it. I'm not gonna ask it. You guys are. I have to ask it now. I know what you're gonna say. He's green. Do you think that Diego's little brother has a chance to develop into a world-class guy or no? Do you think so? Because I watched his last few fights. Okay. The announcers were just shitting on him. The one thing I give to Diego's little brother is his willingness. Yeah, the UK got the heavyweight game on lock. Yep. You can tell he wants to be there, though. He got tested in his last fight. He was a huge favorite. Kind of got tested. Yeah, very green. This kid, he's just... Michael Hunter. Yeah, his name doesn't get brought up too much, does it? Michael Hunter. It's a good call there. The Brits are killing it in the heavyweight game. Australia, that, man, if Justice's fight would have went the other way, I like Angelo Leo. We won money on him. Do I give McCumbee a chance against Diego? I think so. He's a big underdog. I think I give him a chance. Diego's obviously still developing. Young. I got to say, man, I don't like how he finished the fight against Steven Nelson. Who's my favorite prospect in boxing? Man, I'm a little bit of a loyalist only because I've been interviewing him since he was 17. I'm not going to say he's too young. But let me finish that point with Diego Pacheco McCumbee. I don't like how Diego finished the fight against Steven Nelson. I felt like if that fight would have been a few more rounds, Nelson was turning the tide. He took some lessons there. You know, it comes from that Benavidez camp. McCumbie's a dog. We'll see. I can't sit here and just predict, you know, call this huge upset. McCumbie, we saw what he possesses. Everything we need to know about McCumbie we saw against Plant. The good and the bad, right? Everything we need to know. The good and the bad we saw against Caleb. That is who McCumbie is. The question is, who is Pacheco? That's what I mean, David. Who is Pacheco? He's so young that it's tough on him. Yeah, it's a tough test to throw him in there with McCumbie. Was that Plant fight already 2 years ago? Jesus Christ, guys, time's flying. We're going to be dead soon. Was that McCumbie Plant fight 2 years ago? Jesus. We're going to be dead soon. That's my nihilism coming out. I live life with humor, guys, so I'm not trying to be super dark with that comment. His man all over the place. 1 minute he's ready to mobility. Yeah, he's young. Can we comment on the fight some more? Tomas, we started this whole live stream about those fights. Guys, if you're new to the live stream, you know at this stage of the game, an hour in, this is the Wild West now. This is the Wild West part of the live stream. The first 30 minutes, we keep it in the pocket. Nobody, you know, I'm not even laughing the first 3. Now we're telling street gang jokes, controversial topics. Do you think I'm a big fan of Yen Lee. Yes. I don't know about will rule the 160-pound division, but will Yen Lee have will he fight for world titles? Yes. Elijah Pierce. Tomas, yes. Donjeni. We talked Tomas. Okay, now we talked about this Donjeni fight. He's fighting a 7-fight Armenian fighter. Yeah, we're just spitting now. We're freestyling. This is where we get. We're all, you know, we're like a fighter mid-rounds. We're loose. Hard to knock us out now. Hard to stop us. You know, we're rolling with everything. We're loose. But the Donjeni fight, you could sprinkle something on that. He's been in there with, you know, great opposition. I'm high on Yen Lee too. I love Yen Lee's high guard. I love that high, tight guard and that aggression he fights at, dude. Yen Lee is a guy, he's a Cuban fighter that doesn't fight like a Cuban fighter. He can if he wanted to, but that man is aggressive. Okay, Murtazaev is ducking that Lubin fade, but Murtazaev, we were just talking about Murtazaev versus Joshua Kelly. Murtazaev, I want to see him fight Kelly. Will Dickens get knocked out? I don't know, man. I don't know. Have you seen Badargaziev fight? Have you seen how Badargaziev throws his punches, his angles? His hooks are so bizarre. He kind of like razors them. It's a weird thing he does. Dickens, you know, he got stopped against... He fought Guillermo 10 years ago. Got stopped. Every time he steps up, got stopped twice against Kid Galahad. Coming off a huge victory. He's a tough guy. He's a tough guy. I want to see Josh Kelly versus Murtazaev. I want to see Murtazaev fight Kelly. I want to see what he does with a mover. I want to see how he handles Kelly's feints. I want to see how he handles Kelly's style. Landslide. What's my reason picking Fundora over Tim? My reason right now, and that's on the money line. I'm going to answer this. So, guys, I just got asked the question in relation to my July long parlay. And on that long parlay, it's all money line wins, 243 to 1 odds. And on that long parlay, there's some upsets. Just because on that long parlay I picked Dubois to beat Usyk, that's not my official prediction. So come fight week of Usyk Dubois, when I break that video down, I might say that Usyk is going to win. That contradicts my long parlay. I don't care. I'm just letting you know. So on that long parlay, I have Zoo losing to Fundora. That's one that I'm going to stick on. I don't think, when I'm thinking about, and this is coming from a guy, I've watched him fight domestically. You know, he only turned pro in 2016. I've watched him fight live at least 7 times. The reason why I reference that is that you have an aura about you as a fighter. You have an energy about you as a fighter throughout your career, whether it's a good aura or a bad aura. And the aura I saw with Tim against Tony Harrison was freaking insane. Being ringside to that fight was insane. Kudos Bank Arena. I think it maxed out 20,000 people. The energy was wild. Everything. The media. Tim had his hit list. I think that fight went down March of 2023. So EJ versus Bud happened July of 2023. This was the version of Tim Tszyu who wanted, Errol. He wanted Thurman. He wanted Bud. He had all these guys on. He was selling these T-shirts. That aura of Tim is not the same guy. We know why. We know what happened with Fundora. We know what happened with Murtazaev. He has one win. He fought Joey Spencer, a domestic guy. I don't think Fundora is done yet. I think Fundora, even though he hasn't been active, he lives in the gym. He's always sparring. I don't know. I think Fundora. Yeah, I like Seb to beat Tim. Tim's 30, 31 now. Watch the Bakram fight. In the very first exchange of the Bakram fight, Tim gets tapped, and then he starts pawing at his head. You can watch very first 30 seconds. He was pawing at his head. Why was he pawing at his head? He was worried about that cut opening up. When that's in your head, it's not a good thing. And I'm a Tim Tszyu fan, dude. I'm a Costa Tszyu fan. I've interviewed, his dad before Tim even went pro. So I'm not saying I don't like Tim. I want to see Tim. I don't want to see Tim get hurt. It sucked seeing him get stopped. It kind of, when fighters like Tim, when he lost, it bummed me out. You know what I mean? But I have to be real with my picks, and I have to be real. Dude, I bet against some of my friends, and I'm not betting them because I want them to get hurt. But on my channel, I've created a space where you guys come to the channel to not hear emotional picks from me. I can't. I bet against EJ. I was a big Errol Spence fan. A southpaw body puncher like Errol, dude. Come on. But I bet for Bud to win that fight. I always reference that. My buddy Dana Colwell. Deadly Dana. I told you guys that Chop Chop was probably going to be too much. That Carrington was going to probably be too much. I just think Seb Fundora, man, people sleep on Seb. Dude, Seb is a good fighter. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see it. I'm watching, even when you watch a fighter's movements, and take what you want with this comment, when you watch a fighter's movements in between fights on social media, when you watch them give interviews, when you watch how they're operating outside of the ring, it's not the same Tim Tszyu. It's not the same Tim Tszyu. And, it is the same Seb Fundora. Those guys, that whole family, they basically built a farm. They built a property of land where, like, their entire life, they just stayed here. They stay here. They fight every day. They train every day. They win world titles. Gabby, Seb, there's another one coming up. The mom was a fighter. Like, that, what does that tell you about here? That matters in boxing. They stay here. Tim kind of went away a bit here. And to rediscover that, that's why, mate. That's why. To rediscover that, the trauma of that Murtazaev stoppage, the lack of plan B and C, the lack of fight IQ. I mean, I could go on and on. So yeah. I'm right now I'm siding with Fundora on that. Yeah, I think Amanda won the last fight. Guys, like this video. We're entering the 80th minute of the live stream. It's 7:50 a.m. in Sydney. I got to upload the Jack Catterall Harlem Eubank fight, so I'm going to be cutting this off shortly. I will be going live again today. My second live stream, I'm giving you my lock of the week. That lock of the week is going to be about the fight in Turkey. There's the main event with Badagaziev versus Jazza Dickens. There's some other good fights on that undercard. I'm going to take Skizzy's. Skizzy is from Perth. He's a subscriber. I'm going to download Bet365 and see if I can get better options or better method of victories. And hopefully on the second live stream in a few hours, I will have those locks of the weeks for you. Go to the post section right now, guys. I posted the July fights. I posted my July long parlay. There's 12 fights. We're doing a contest. So Of the 12 fights that you see, I want you in the comments to give me your 12 winners. And then over time, we're going to see who won the most. And we're going to do this every month. July long parlay, August, September, etc. And I'm going to keep stats. So I want you to go find that ticket. It was yesterday. Shouldn't be too hard. And just go 1 through 12. Who you think is going to win the fight. I'll add them up. You got to hurry up because the first fight starts this weekend. The long parlay starts with Catterall and Eubank. So if you miss that, you can't kind of enter. But that's different from, that's a separate game we're playing. All right? So guys, stay tuned, stay locked. Like this video. I'll be talking to you guys soon. Let's get this money. Let's do it.